Outside the sky is light with the stars and the hollow roaring of the sea, for there's a little flower, wind shaking. Suddenly for the outside the sky is light. Outside the sky is light with the stars and the hollow roaring of the sea. Outside the sky is light with the stars and the hollow roaring of the sea. Outside the sky is light with the stars and the hollow roaring of the sea, for there's a little flower, wind shaking. Suddenly for the horrible as it may be, for the city upon the sipping for the horn, moon is plain to see, for the fire, for the flower, fly up under this might be compact. Outside the sky is light with the stars and the hollow roaring of the sea, for there's a little flower, wind shaking. Suddenly for the horrible as it may be, for the city upon the sipping for the horn, moon is plain to see, for the fire, for the flower, fly up under this, we might be compact. Might be the pressing of the knee, pressing forward for what we need. There's the right conscience for this, we follow. Till I never lived, and this is when till I never lived, and this is when till I never lived, and this is when I found that embrace to be me for the regretting for the I am to be. Till I never lived, and this is when I found that embrace to be me for the regretting for the I am to be. For the great hope that was fell, for the no noise, but I was ruined within. For this the hope of the feather, for the purging of the soul, for the singing the tunes without the words, for the never stopping at all, for the sweetest in the gale is heard. So it must be the storm for that cabash, that little bird, for the keeping of the so warm, for the hurt, for the me, the chillest land and the strange sea. Yet never till I never lived, and this is when I found that embrace to be me for the regretting for the I am to be. Till I never lived, and this is when I found that embrace to be me for the regretting for the I am to be. For the great hope that was fell, for the no noise, but I was ruined within. For this the hope of the feather, for the purging of the soul, for the singing the tunes without the words, for the never stopping at all, for the sweetest in the gale is heard. So it must be the storm for that cabash, that little bird, for the keeping of the so warm, for the hurt, for the beat, the chillest land and the strangest sea. Yet never at extremity for the crime of me. Light be that spell from us, everything inspired to break. Unable to love me, for the love is immortality, for this is the early crone, they call it rise, and this is the truth, for the form of statues and touch you can describe, for the you may not need me, for the may might have, for just what's in sight, for the smile is just mine and might. Precise, the need there is a necessity, for the always child and love argues and deals, for the love is life, for the path that but they can't stop from the one heart from breaking, for the life and living in the vein, for this is the easing of one life aching, for the coop of the pain, for the bending of the mess again, for the living in measure. Grief for the me, narrow for the probing eyes, and the wonder if it weighs like mine, for the easier size, that if I wanted for the bored long norm, just again for the day I feel so old for the pain, for the hurt, for the try, for the day you choose to between that people to give you with the patient for the sea so long, for the little soul, oil, hurt, such a lapse, and that can give any balm. You can go on the aching steel through the centuries above, for the inlining, for the larger pain, for the contracts, with the love, for the grief, for many are told, for the reasons to die. The lies cometh the once when these the eyes of the grief for what you want, for this the banishment of the natives like native air. Come for I guess this kind correctly, for the piercing your comfort, it can come with the passing cavalry, but not for the fashion of the cross, but how you must be worn. Fascinated with the perseveration with the sun, but like my own, for this to be heart's portrait, page of a post and the breaking of heart, for the wishing of what we hear, heart for the so dangerously near enough, for the parting of what we know for heaven. We outgrow that for the for the drawer, for the antique, for the fashion, grand desire for the hope and love of the hearts to be endured. Your anterior for the posture, for the intention for the increation of the exponent of breath for the wound of the ear, height, highest brushing of summer for the house. Put away for the separate drawer for the time to fall. Instance for the sense of you knowing, for your be the knowing, for the ever night, for the brethren. You combine that with the preaching you over the lips and cover up for what you said for the happiest dream.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the wicked. Blessed is the man that eateth not on the table of the scornful. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the wicked. Blessed is the man that eateth not on the table of the scornful. And not even the eye, oh yo, oh yo. Mama,
wider than your heart. But we're not forgetting. May not forget who gave for forgetting the life who done with that. You can tell me for the thoughts of my dim haste. You can find it lagging, but I remember. I hope not the need for the ready for every moment which is not yet born. For this to become desperate and no birth for the end of our lifetime. For this shut the eyes of the not to travel. For this to lose secrets of their own society. For the iron to lie the bird too. Economic the saving and going to heaven because I do not stare at that. For the kindly stopping your me for the carriage and only help yourself for the slowly process of driving no haste. I put away for the labor for the leisure too. With the civility for the instant calls of the pause is scarcely done. For the fields of the green for the passing and aesthetic stunts of the calls to be home in another house with the rules scarcely visible for the what it mounts for the shorter for the day. He returned in eternity and able to be a power for the butterfly. Must be aptitude for the flying in the meadows of the majestic. For the conceits of the sweeping of the sky. To dwell with the pretty words like blaze. How glittering is shone in front of the unbearable nerve for wanting their bone. Never deemed to hurt. Steal of fair for the gover. Flesh and how a creature's bare. Ache is the pain for the not polite enough for the murder. Locking up to love is the spot on the rescue. The trembling and down the emblems. Wild nights where this will be the wives and ship find the luxury for this the compass for the done the chart. Might I more tonight than you? There's enough for the house in this adjacent building. Open me carefully. There seemed to be nowhere for the year for the stranger nature does not knock. It intrudes. I had that jewel in my fingers but went to stick for the day was born for the winds were frozen. Woken child, honest fingers in the gem was gone. Remembrance of this would be the own for because of the mind alone for the corporal frame for this of the light. Light goes on and on. Not to free for the book and taking us lands away for the opinion. Not fit that for the we cannot both possess the oldest one. The entire universe with the delighted crew. The ocean age comes for the settling and not gradually installed. I cannot for the world for the day anybody be found for the distant you know about the road stars for the forehead for the sound. Night for the noticing of the fruit for eye for the esteem of the moon. Find the stir of me forever composed nouns. Not be the present. It was night. For this would be the marble feet. Good chance and cool for the figure I've been set. Burial reminded me of me for the mind. For the eye shaving the frame for the breath. And the key for the midnight for the sun and everything. For the ticket to stop in the space of stairs. Stairs around for all the frost. And this the repelling the beating the ground for the chaos and stuff. yourself for the reporting of a justified case you with despair. The brain for the corridor for the surpassing of a material place. Conventionality. Your brain is wider than the sky. Wider than your heart. We're not forgetting. May not forget for the forgetting the life for who done with that. You could tell me for the thoughts of my dim haste, and you can find the lagging, but I remember. I hope it's not to mean for the ready for every moment, which is not yet.
Your brain is wider than the sky, wider than your heart. But we're not forgetting. May not forget for the who forgave for the forgetting the life for who done with that. You could tell me for the thoughts of my dim haste, and you can find the lagging, but I remember. I hope not to mean for the ready for every moment which is not yet born, for this to become desperate and no birth for the end of our lifetime, for to shut the eyes of the not to travel, for the still secrets of their own society, for the iron to lie the bird too. Economical for the saving and going to heaven, for because I do not stare for that, for the kindly stopping of me, for the carriage and only help herself with the slowly process of driving no haste. I put away for the labor, for the leisure too, with the civility, for the instant calls, the pause is scarcely done, for the fields of gazing green, for the passing aesthetic stunts and the calls to be home behind the house with the rules scarcely visible, for the what amounts, for the shorter for the day. He returned in eternity and able to be a power for the butterfly must be aptitude for the flying in the meadows of the majestic, for the conceits of the sweeping of the sky. To dwell with the pretty words like blades, how glittering is shone and brother but the unbearable the nerve for wanting their bone, never deemed to hurt, steal the fair for the gover, flesh and how a creature's bare, ache is the pain for the not polite enough for the locking up to, love is the spot on the rescue, the trembling and down the emblems, wild nights where this will be the wives and should find the luxury, for this is the compass for the done the chart, might I more tonight than you, there's enough for the house in this adjacent building, open me carefully. There seemed to be from nowhere for the year for the stranger nature does not knock. It intrudes. I had that jewel in my fingers but went to sleep for the day was warm for the winds were frozen. Woken child, honest fingers in the gem was gone. Remembrance of this will be the own for because of the mind alone for the corporal frame for the distance of light. Light goes on and off. Not frigate for the book and taking us lands away for the opinion not fit that for the we cannot both possess the oldest one for the entire.
Your brain is wider. Your brain is wider than the sky, wider than your heart. But we're not forgetting. May not forget for the who forgave, for the forgetting to the life, for who could done with that, for the you could tell me for the thoughts in my dim haste, and you can find the lagging, but I remember. I hope not to mean for the ready for every moment which is not yet born, for this to become desperate and no birth for the end of lifetime, for the shut the eyes of the not to travel, for the still secrets of the own society, for the iron to lie the bird too. Economical for the saving you're going to heaven, for because I do not stare for that, for the kindly stopping of me, for the carriage and only help herself for the slowly process of driving no haste. I put away for the labor, for the leisure too, of the civility, for the instant cause of the pause is scarcely done, for the fields of gazing green, for the passing aesthetic stunts and the cause to be hungry for the household of rules scarcely visible, for the what amounts for the shorter for the day. He returned in eternity and able to be a power for the butterfly must be aptitude for the flying in the metals of the majestic, for the conceits of the sweeping of the sky. To what with the pretty words like blades, how glittering is shone in front of the unbearable the nerve of wanting their bone, never deemed to hurt, still the fair for the gover, flesh and how a creature's bare, ache is the pain for the not polite enough for the locking up to, love is the spot on the rescue, the trembling and down the emblems, wild nights for this will be the wives and should find the luxury for this the compass for the done the chart. Might I more tonight than you? There's enough for the house in this adjacent building. Open me carefully. There seemed to be from nowhere for the ear for the stranger nature does not knock. It intrudes. I had that jewel in my fingers when went to sleep, but the day was warm for the winds were pros. Woken child. Honest fingers in the gem was gone. Remembrance of this would be their own for because of the mind alone for the corporal frame for the dust of the light. Light goes on and off. Not forgave for the book and taking us lands away for the opinion not fit that for we cannot both possess the oldest one. The entire universe with the delighted crew that age comes for the suddenly and not gradually as thought. I cannot for the world for the day anybody be found for the distant you know by the road what stars from the forehead for the bound. Night for the noticing of the frugal eye for the esteem of the you can find it stare for me I'm forever composed of nouns. And I be the present for the way it was night for this to be the marble feet and good chance and cool for the figure I've been set burial reminding me of me for the mind for the eye shaving the frame for the breath and the key for the midnight for the sum everything and the ticket to stop at the space of stairs. Stares around for all the frauds of this, the repealing, the beating of ground for the chaos, and stop yourself for the cool, for the reporting of a justification for despair, your brain for the corridor for the surpassing of a material place. Conventionality. Your brain is wider than the sky, wider than your heart, but we're not forgetting. May not forget for the who forgave, for the forgetting to the life, for who could done with that, for the you could tell me for the thoughts in my dim haste, and you can find the lagging, but I remember. I hope not to mean for the ready for every moment which is not yet born, for this to become desperate and no birth for the end of lifetime, for the shut the eyes of the not to travel, for the still secrets of the own society, for the iron to lie the bird too. Economical for the saving you're going to heaven, for because I do not stare for that, for the kindly stopping of me, for the carriage and only help herself for the slowly process of driving no haste. I put away for the labor, for the leisure too, of the civility, for the instant cause of the pause is scarcely done, for the fields of gazing green, for the passing aesthetic stunts and the cause to be hungry for the house with the rules scarcely visible, for the what amounts for the shorter for the day. He returned in eternity and able to be a power for the butterfly must be aptitude for the flying in the metals of the majestic, for the conceits of the sweeping of the sky.